The millionaire entrepreneur writhed in his chair, clutching his chest. Everyone was in a panic and didn't know what to do until the cleaner shouted, "Calm down, I'm a doctor." Livia Silva's broom slipped from her hands when she heard a noise coming from the main office. It was a strange sound, like someone struggling. Desperate cries in German followed it. She stopped cleaning the 15th floor corridor and listened intently. Something was very wrong there. "My God, what's happening?" A male voice in German came from the other side of the glass door. Livia recognized that voice. It was Moore, one of the German bankers who had arrived an hour ago for August Vilos's most important meeting of his life. The meeting was supposed to decide whether his company would receive 50 million euros or go bankrupt in 3 months. Then other shouts were heard, this time in Portuguese. "My God, someone do something! He's not responding!" It was Fernanda's voice, the secretary, in a complete state of panic. Livia dropped her broom and went to the door. Through the glass, she saw a scene that made her heart pound. Augusto Villos was hunched in his chair, clutching his chest with both hands, his face completely pale and covered in sweat. 3 men in suits, the German bankers, stood around him, not knowing what to do. Fernanda was crying, desperately trying to get Augusto to respond, but he only groaned in pain, struggling for breath. "Sir August, talk to me! What do you feel?" Fernanda shouted, shaking him by the shoulders. August tried to say something, but only guttural sounds came out. His lips began to darken. Schmidt, one of the Germans, picked up the phone with trembling hands. "I'll call an ambulance," he said in English. "Quickly to the hospital." "No, I'll call," Fernanda said, taking the phone. But she was so nervous that her hands trembled and she could barely dial the number. Hello, I need an ambulance! Urgent!" Livia watched everything through the glass door. Her heart pounded like a drum. She recognized every symptom, every sign, every movement indicating a developing heart attack. She had seen this scene hundreds of times in her past life, when she wore a white coat and was respected. She knew exactly what was happening and, more importantly, knew exactly what needed to be done in the next few minutes to avoid a tragedy. But for a few seconds, she hesitated, torn between medical instinct and harsh reality. 2 hours ago, this same man had walked past her in the corridor and hadn't even greeted her. He treated her as if she were invisible, as if she were not human. 6 months ago, when she tried to warn about a leak in the floor's toilet, he interrupted her with the words, "I don't talk to cleaners. If there's a problem, deal with your boss." But at that critical moment, seeing August writhing in pain and fighting for his life, all those bitter memories vanished like smoke. It didn't matter how he treated her every day. It didn't matter that he despised her as if she were something less than human. A valuable life was in real danger, and she was the only person on the floor with the technical knowledge to save it. August began to slide from his chair. Moore tried to hold him, but couldn't. The entrepreneur fell to the marble floor with a dull thud, convulsing. His eyes rolled back. "He's dying! Someone do something!" Fernanda cried hysterically. At that moment, Livia made a decision that would change everything. She sharply pushed the glass door and burst into the office like a hurricane. "Everyone, step back! Everyone, step back now!" Everyone turned to look at the woman in the blue uniform who had broken into the company's most important office. Fernanda stopped crying for a few seconds, confused. "Livia, what are you doing here? Please leave. This is not the time for cleaning." "Fernanda, shut up and listen to me," Livia shouted with a confidence no one expected from her. "Get these men away from him and call an ambulance now." "But I already called. They said they'd be here in 20 minutes, and in 20 minutes he'll be dead." Livia knelt beside August, who was unconscious on the floor. "Call again and say exactly this. Acute myocardial infarction. 52-year-old male. Cardiorespiratory arrest imminent. Urgent transport needed." Moore looked at her in surprise. "Do you know about medicine?" he asked in German. "I'm a doctor," Livia shouted, loosening August's tie and checking his pulse on his neck. "A cardiologist! Everyone, step back! I need to work!" There was a deafening silence. The cleaner they saw every day washing toilets had just declared she was a cardiologist. It seemed impossible, unreal, but there was something in her voice, in the confidence of her movements, that made everyone obey without question. Livia unceremoniously ripped August's 2,000 real shirt, placed her hands on his chest, and began performing cardiopulmonary compressions with such technical precision that the German simply gaped in amazement. 1, 2, 3, 4, she counted aloud, pressing on his chest in a precise rhythm. "Fernanda, have they confirmed they're coming?" "Yes, but Livia, are you really a doctor?" Fernanda asked, still in shock. "No time for questions now. Run to the bathroom and bring wet, cold towels," Livia ordered, without interrupting the compressions. "Schmidt, can you elevate his legs?" He immediately obeyed, impressed by her technical knowledge. "Yes, of course. Are you really a doctor?" he replied in German. 15 years of cardiology, Livia replied, checking August's pulse again. "Worked at Clinicos Hospital until 2 years ago." "But how?" Moore began to ask. "Story later," she interrupted him. "Now, we need to save his life." Livia tilted August's head back, opened his mouth, and began performing mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, alternating with compressions. Her movements were precise, professional, like someone who had done this thousands of times. "Breathe, August," she whispered during the procedure. "Come back to us. It's not your time yet." After 2 minutes of intense action, August took a weak breath. His eyes slowly opened. He was confused, trying to focus on where he was. Seeing Livia's face above him, he was completely lost. What happened?" he whispered with difficulty. "You had a heart attack," Livia explained, continuing to monitor his vital signs. "But now you're stable. Don't move. Don't try to speak. The ambulance is on its way." August tried to sit up, but she held him firmly. "Don't move. You must remain still until the paramedics arrive." You... He tried to form words. "I'm the cleaner you ignore every day, but I'm also the cardiologist who just saved your life," Livia replied, with a barely perceptible, sad smile. August's eyes widened. It was impossible to believe what he heard. The woman he considered invisible, with whom he didn't even say hello in the corridors, was a doctor and had just prevented his death right in his own office. 7 minutes later, the paramedics arrived. Seeing that Livia was performing the correct actions, they were impressed. "Are you a medic?" the chief paramedic asked. "A cardiologist. Performed first aid. He had cardiac arrest for about 40 seconds, but I was able to reverse it. His vital signs are stable now." "Excellent work, doctor." "Without your intervention, he wouldn't have survived." August was placed on a stretcher, but before being taken away, he squeezed Livia's hand tightly. His eyes were filled with tears of gratitude and surprise. "Why did you save me?" he asked softly. "After everything, how I avoided you?" Livia gently squeezed his hand. "Because that's what doctors do, August. We save lives, no matter who it is." When the ambulance left, the office fell into absolute silence. Fernanda, Roberto from finance, and the 3 Germans looked at Livia as if she were a vision. "Livia!" Fernanda finally spoke. "Are you really a cardiologist?" "Yes," she replied, putting away her cleaning cart. "Now I need to finish cleaning the 12th floor toilet. My shift ends at 6 p.m. Moore approached, visibly moved. "Doctor, you did something amazing. Why does a doctor work as a cleaner?" he asked. Livia replied, "Because sometimes life puts us where we least expect it, and sometimes that's exactly where we need to be." She pushed the cart towards the door, but turned back one last time. "Take care of him at the hospital and tell him he needs to stop working 16 hours a day and eat less red meat. His heart won't withstand such a load." As she left the office, Livia left behind a group of absolutely shocked people. The invisible cleaner turned out to be a highly qualified specialist who performed a medical miracle. But the story was just beginning. When August woke up in the hospital, he would have many more questions, and the answers would forever change his view of the world and the people around him. The silence in Santa Casa Hospital lasted only a few seconds after August Vilos opened his eyes in the coronary intensive care unit. He was hooked up to monitors emitting constant signals, with an IV drip in his vein and electrodes on his bare chest. The first thing he saw was the hospital's white ceiling, then the worried face of his wife, Clara, sitting by the bed. "Darling, thank God you woke up," Clara said, squeezing his hand with tears in her eyes. "The doctors said it was a miracle." August tried to speak, but his throat was dry. Clara handed him water with a straw, and he drank slowly, still processing where he was and what had happened. Vague memories began to return: chest pain, the Germans' panic, Fernanda's despair, the meeting. He quietly mumbled, "The bankers, they left." "Forget about the meeting now," Clara replied, stroking his face. "The main thing is that you're alive. If it weren't for the employee who helped you, you would have died right there." "Employee?" August frowned, trying to remember, and then images flooded in like a film. Livia ripping his shirt, performing heart massage, shouting medical commands with a confidence he had never seen in her. "The cleaner," he said softly to himself, more to himself than to Clara. "She said she was a doctor." "A doctor?" Clara repeated, confused. "What cleaner, dear?" "What are you talking about?" Before August could answer, the door to the room opened, and Dr. Henrique Mora, the cardiologist responsible for the case, entered. He was a man in his 50s with graying hair, a serious but compassionate expression. "Sir August, glad to see you conscious," the doctor said, checking the monitors. "How do you feel?" "A little confused, doctor, but alive, it seems." "More than alive, you're extremely lucky." Dr. Henrique sat in a chair. "You had an acute myocardial infarction, commonly known as a heart attack. Your heart stopped for almost a minute." Clara squeezed August's hand tighter, alarmed. "But here's what's truly impressive," the doctor continued. "Someone performed perfect cardiopulmonary resuscitation on the spot. Heart massage, artificial respiration, all with precise timing. Without immediate intervention, you wouldn't have made it here alive." "It was a company employee. She said she was a cardiologist," August said, still trying to piece together memories. "Ah, yes, the doctor who came with you in the ambulance," Dr. Henrique nodded. "An outstanding specialist. We talked on the way, and she gave me precise information about the initial aid. I rarely see doctors working so competently." "She was in the ambulance?" August asked in surprise. "Of course. She accompanied you here to keep your vital signs stable. She only left when you were transferred to the intensive care unit." August was silent, processing this information. Livia not only saved him, but also showed care, staying with him at the hospital. The same person he considered invisible cared for him like a family member. Clara intervened. "My husband will recover. He will fully recover, but he'll have to change his lifestyle. Less stress, regular exercise, a balanced diet, and most importantly, fewer working hours." "Impossible," August replied automatically. "I have a company to manage. Employees depend on me. It's a responsibility." "Sir August," Dr. Henrique firmly interrupted him, "you've been given a warning. Your heart cannot sustain this pace. If you don't reduce the load, the next heart attack could be fatal." The entrepreneur fell silent, realizing the seriousness of the situation. For the first time in his life, something forced Augusto Villos to stop amidst his ambitious plans. "Doctor, can I ask a question?" he said after a few minutes. "That doctor who saved me, is she still here at the hospital?" "No, she left about 2 hours ago, said she had another work meeting." "Why?" "It's complicated. She works for my company, but not as a doctor. She works as a cleaner." Dr. Henrique frowned in clear confusion. "That doesn't make sense. She showed technical knowledge that only comes with years of experience as a cardiologist, spoke about specific medications, emergency protocols, post-infarction complications. She really claimed that a cardiologist, at least 15 years of experience, worked at Clinicos Hospital, August confirmed. Clinicos Hospital? The doctor was interested. I know the cardiology department there very well. What's her full name? Livia Silva. Dr. Henrique thought for a few seconds, then picked up the phone. I'll call a colleague from there. If she really worked at Clinicos Hospital, they'll remember her. While the doctor was calling, August delved into thought. How could such an experienced cardiologist end up cleaning his office? What was the story behind this amazing change? A few minutes later, the doctor hung up the phone. My colleague, Dr. Roberto, remembers her well. Dr. Livia Silva is one of the most competent cardiologists who ever worked at Clinicos Hospital, a specialist in cardiological emergencies, saved hundreds of lives. So she really is a doctor, Clara said softly, impressed. Not just a doctor, Dr. Henrique corrected. Medicine is something that isn't lost. Once a doctor, always a doctor. But why was she working as a cleaner? August asked with genuine interest. You'll have to ask her that, but according to my colleague, she left Clinicos Hospital under controversial circumstances about 2 years ago. What kind? I don't know the details. Roberto only said it was related to complaints about irregularities. She left, and then no one heard from her again. August was silent, trying to put the puzzle together. Livia was a respected doctor, left the hospital due to some problem, and now cleaned toilets to survive. The irony was that her medical knowledge saved the man who despised her the most. Sir August, Dr. Henrique stood up. I need to do a few more tests, but I want you to know, you owe this woman your life. Without her intervention, our conversation would have been very different. When the doctor left, Clara moved closer to the bed. Darling, you need to find this woman and truly thank her. Honey, I'll do more than that, August said, feeling a resolve within him. I'll find out her whole story. 3 hours later, already in a regular ward, August was visited by Fernanda and Muir. The secretary was visibly shaken, and the German looked worried, but also impressed. Sir August, what a scare you gave us, Fernanda said, approaching the bed. When I saw you fall. It's okay, Fernanda. I'm here. I'm alive. Ah, Mr. Villas, then, Moore said cautiously in Portuguese. How do you feel? Better, thank you, and sorry for disrupting our meeting. Meeting? Moore shook his head. That's not important now. The main thing is your recovery. But it is important, August insisted. You came from the other side of the world to listen to me. And I, Mr. Villas, Moore interrupted. What I saw today changed my opinion of your company. How is that? The way this employee reacted, her dedication, technical knowledge, all this speaks volumes about the kind of people you have working for you. August was confused. I don't understand. This doctor works for your company, doesn't she, as an occupational health consultant? Actually, she works as a cleaner, August admitted, embarrassed. Moore was simply stunned. A cardiologist cleaning? That's difficult, Fernanda interjected. We also just found out today that she's a doctor. This is amazing. Moore's impression was clear. A company where doctors work in all departments, even cleaning, demonstrates a level of staff qualification I've never seen before. August realized that Moore had completely misinterpreted the situation. The German thought the company was so prosperous and well-structured that even the cleaners were highly qualified specialists. Mr. Villas, Moore continued, I want to resume our loan discussion. A company with this level of human resources deserves our investment. But, Moore, let me explain. No need to explain anything. I saw the quality of the people working here with my own eyes. 50 million euros is not a problem. August looked at Fernanda, who was equally surprised. The irony was that Livia not only saved his life, but also his business. The German's misunderstanding soon led to the investment he so desperately needed. After the guests left, August was left alone with his thoughts. The irony of the situation deeply bothered him. For 2 years, he had treated Livia as insignificant, and now he discovered she was more qualified than most of his executives. He picked up his phone and called Fernanda. Fernanda, I need information. Do you have Livia's personal details, address, phone, and so on? Yes, sir. She works for a third-party company, so we have her basic data. Why? I need to talk to her personally. Sir August, didn't the doctor tell you to rest? Fernanda, this woman saved my life. It's the least I can do. Okay, I'll send the data to your WhatsApp. Half an hour later, August received all of Livia's data. She lived in Cidade Tiradentes, a neighborhood on the outskirts of São Paulo. She was married and had a 12-year-old daughter. She worked 2 jobs, as a cleaner at his company in the mornings and at a private hospital in the evenings. 2 jobs, a cardiologist working 2 jobs to survive. This reality hit August like a punch to the gut. While he complained about lazy employees, Livia worked 16 hours a day to support her family. He dialed her number. Hello? A tired voice answered after a few rings. Livia, it's August Villas. Silence on the other end of the line. Livia, are you there? Yes, sir. How are you feeling? Good. Thanks to you, Livia. I need to see you. I need to talk to you. That's all, Sir August. Don't worry, I did what any nurse would do. But you're not just any nurse, and I'm not just any patient. Not after what happened today. Silence again. Livia, where are you now? I'm on my way to my second job, São Luís Hospital. Hospital? You work at another hospital. Yes, I'm a cleaner there too. August felt his chest tighten again, but this time it wasn't a heart attack. It was something else, much more painful. Shame. Livia, cancel your shift today. I'll pay for your day's work. Sir August, I can't. This isn't a request. It's a medical order. You saved my life. Now I'll save your evening. How much do you earn per shift? Sir, it's not that important. Livia's voice was heard. 80 reais. 80 reais. The price of a bottle of wine August drank for dinner. Livia worked 8 hours cleaning a hospital for 80 reals. I'll give you 200. Come to the hospital. We need to talk. She hesitated for a few seconds. Sir August, why do you want to talk to me? Because today I learned that for 2 years, I treated one of the most extraordinary people I've met as if she were invisible. I need to understand how that's possible. 40 minutes later, Livia Silva entered the hospital room in the same simple clothes as always, but now August looked at her with completely different eyes. She was no longer the invisible cleaner, but the doctor who held his heart in her hands and brought him back to life. Hi, she simply said, standing by the door. Please sit. August gestured to the chair next to the bed. Thank you for coming. Livia sat down, but maintained a formal posture, as if she were still a subordinate talking to her boss. Livia, I need to know something, August began. How did a cardiologist from Clinicos Hospital end up cleaning my office? She took a deep breath, as if she knew this conversation was inevitable. It's a long story, Sir August. Tell me. I have time, and after what you did for me today, I have a lifetime to listen. Livia looked at her own hands, organizing her thoughts, then began to tell a story that would forever change August's view of the world. 2 years ago, I found out that some doctors at Clinicos Hospital were selling fake medical certificates to companies, fake sick notes, bought sick leave, altered test results. It was a big scheme involving a lot of money. And you reported it? I did. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought the hospital management would investigate and punish the culprits, but it didn't happen. Livia laughed bitterly. Instead, I became everyone's enemy. The doctors involved had influence, connections, spread rumors that I was causing trouble, making up stories, that I was difficult to work with, and that's why I was fired for not fitting the corporate culture. 2 weeks later, my husband also lost his job. He worked for a company connected to the hospital. August felt his stomach turn. They persecuted your family? Unofficially, but too many coincidences, right? And the worst was yet to come. What exactly? My daughter, Helena, had a serious illness. It required constant monitoring and expensive treatment. When we lost our jobs, we also lost our medical insurance. Livia's eyes filled with tears, but she continued to speak firmly. I tried to find another job as a doctor, but my reputation was ruined. No one wanted to hire someone who caused trouble at work. And then you agreed to work as a cleaner? I had no choice. I needed an official job with registration to get a health insurance policy. When the contracting company offered the vacancy, I immediately accepted, even though it was humiliating. Yes, but I prefer to be humiliated at work than to see my daughter without treatment. August was silent for several minutes, absorbing every word. The woman in front of him was not just an outstanding doctor. She was a brave mother who sacrificed her career to save her daughter. Livia, he finally said, forgive me. Forgive for what? For everything. For treating you as something less than human, never seeing you as a person, being blind to your talents. Sir August, you didn't know, but you should have known. You should have treated people with dignity, without delving into their stories. Livia looked at him with an expression of surprise and emotion. And now, August continued, I have a proposal. What is it? I want you to return to working as a doctor. I offer you the position of medical director of the firm. Salary 15,000 reals per month, all benefits, premium health insurance policy for your family. Livia's eyes filled with tears. Sir August, that's too generous. Say no more. You saved my life today. Now give me a chance to save yours. I don't know what to say. Say you accept. Say you'll give me a chance to prove that people can change, that I can be better than I was. Livia cried quietly for a few minutes. After 2 years of invisibility, finally someone saw her worth. I accept, she said softly. Yes, I accept. August smiled for the first time in days. Then, welcome back to medicine, Doctor. Livia Silva. At that moment, both knew that something had changed forever, not only in their lives, but also in how they would see everyone around them. Sometimes life's greatest lessons are disguised as small kindnesses, and sometimes the one who saves our life teaches us about true life. 2 days later, August Villos was discharged from the hospital with a list of recommendations that completely changed his usual lifestyle. Light exercise, a strict diet, daily medication, and most importantly, a sharp reduction in stress. Dr. Henrique was clear. Sir August, your heart gave a warning. Next time could be fatal. But the first thing August did upon returning home was not rest, but calling Livia. Hello? She answered after a few rings with a tired voice. As usual, Livia, it's me, August. I'm home. I've been discharged. Can we meet today? Livia asked. We already talked at the hospital. You don't need to worry about me anymore. Livia, it's not worry, but gratitude and curiosity. I need to understand your story better. There was silence on the other end. Please, he insisted. I'll pay you for a whole day's work. I just want to talk calmly. Okay, she agreed after hesitating, but not at your house. I wouldn't be comfortable there. Where then? Do you know the Cidade Tiradentes shopping center? There's a small food court there. August had never heard of that shopping center. For him, shopping was at Iguatemi, JK Refined Places in the southern part of the city, but he immediately agreed. 2 hours later, he was driving on Itakira Road, immersing himself in a completely different world. The houses were modest, the streets less paved. Traffic was intense, people were working, children were playing in the streets. Life was bustling in a way he had never noticed before. The Cidade Tiradentes shopping center was small, simple, but clean and lively. August felt out of place, in his expensive suit, among people in casual clothes, families strolling, young people kissing in the food court. Livia was already sitting at a corner table in a simple white blouse and jeans. She looked different outside of work, more relaxed, more human. "Hi," she said when he approached. "Hi, thank you for coming." August sat on a plastic chair, trying to get used to the surroundings. Nearby, a family was celebrating a child's birthday, and in another corner, two friends laughed loudly, discussing a date. "This is different from the places you usually go, isn't it?" Livia remarked. "Yes," he admitted without embarrassment. "But this is real life. There's life here." They ordered coffee and a simple snack. August noticed that Livia checked the prices on the menu before choosing something, which he never did. "Livia," he said, "I want you to tell me everything. From the beginning." She sighed, stirring sugar into her coffee. "My father was a bricklayer, my mother a housewife," she began. "We lived in a 2-room house here in Cidade Tiradentes. I was the oldest of 3 children. And how did you manage to study medicine? I went to public school. I was a good student. My parents made huge efforts to buy books, pay for preparatory courses. My father worked extra on weekends to pay for my education." August felt a tightness in his chest, imagining this family's struggle. "I got into the University of São Paulo on my second try," Livia continued. "It was the happiest day of my parents' lives. My father cried like a baby. During my studies, I worked during the day to support myself. I studied at night, working as a cleaner in medical offices. It's ironic that it was the best-paying job, allowing me to study during breaks." "You always worked as a cleaner?" "Back then, when it was needed, work is respectable, no matter what kind." That phrase hit August like a slap. For 2 years, he had treated her work as something less significant, less worthy. "I studied for 6 years, did my cardiology residency at Clinicos Hospital," Livia continued. "Those were the best years of my life. I was finally doing what I had always dreamed of. And your parents?" "My father didn't see my graduation. He had a heart attack in his 5th year of university. He worked hard, was stressed, had a difficult life. He died at 52, the same age as August, with the same illness, but with a key difference. Livia's father didn't have someone who could save him." "I'm sorry," August said sincerely. "My mother stayed with the younger children. I helped as much as I could, but residency pays little. Everything was very difficult, but I loved every day. After residency, I managed to get a position in the emergency cardiology department at Clinicos Hospital. A dream come true, saving lives every day. I earned enough to help my family, building a serious career." "And how did you meet your husband?" "I met Paulo at university. He studied engineering. We dated for 7 years and got married after I graduated. Helena was born 2 years later." Livia paused, and August knew the hardest part was coming. "Everything was perfect," she continued. "I worked as a cardiologist. Paulo as an engineer in a construction company. Helena was a healthy child. We had our own small apartment, a car, plans for the future. What changed? Helena started showing strange symptoms at 2 years old. Severe fatigue, frequent infections. Bruises appeared for no reason." Livia's eyes welled up again. "I took her to many doctors, did all possible tests. The diagnosis was made when she was 3 years old. A serious blood disease." "Which one exactly?" "A disease affecting the production of blood cells. It requires constant monitoring, very expensive imported medicines, regular blood transfusions." "And you were treated under Clinicos Hospital's medical insurance?" "Yes." "Helena started treatment, responded to it, was stable. I immersed myself in studying medicine." Years later, Livia Silva's story became a legend. Augusto Villos's company, once consumed by the pursuit of profit, transformed into a beacon of humanity and employee care, becoming a national benchmark in occupational health. Livia, now no longer a cleaner, but the recognized doctor. Livia Silva, shown at international conferences, her name synonymous with advanced occupational medicine. She didn't just treat illnesses, she prevented them, changing the very philosophy of corporate health. Her daughter, Helena, grew up entered medical university, and proudly followed in her mother's footsteps, dreaming of saving lives, just as her mother once saved August. And August himself, whose heart once stopped, now beat in unison with the values he once ignored. The phrase, "Calm down, I'm a doctor," once a desperate cry from a reception room, now echoed through boardrooms, universities, and corporations worldwide. It became a reminder. True greatness is not measured by titles or wealth, but by dignity, compassion, and the willingness to act when others panic. Thus, from an ordinary day and an act of kindness, the invisible cleaner not only saved a millionaire's life, she changed his world and the world around him, proving that the most important lessons are taught not in executive offices, but in the corridors where every person, regardless of their role, can be a hero.